Hello, how's it going, guys? I hope you are doing well today. In today's video, I am going to be going over war souls that fit your character best. Do keep in mind two things, please. Number one is I'm going to go over specifically orange war souls and purple ones. Blue war souls are not the best, obviously. They don't give you a big boost at all. So I'm just going to specifically go over purple and orange. Orange ones are hard to come by, but over time you will eventually get some. Purple ones are also hard to come by, but it's not as hard as the orange ones. You should be getting purple ones at a very steady rate. And number two, this is my personal opinion. So, if somebody else tells you something different, it is totally fine. This is just my personal opinion. So let's get started. Now, first thing, we all know how teams work. You have three in the back and three in the front. Now, for the front row, what I would personally recommend is going to be defensive war souls, because your front row is always getting attacked non-stop, so having defensive war souls on them will help you keep the back row alive, and that's what I recommend for the front row. A really, really good front row war soul is going to be War Soul of Vigilance. It increases your HP by a certain amount and also a percentage, and it also reduces the damage received by 11%. Keep in mind, those numbers can change depending on what level your War Soul is. And same thing with the purple one. The purple one does have a little bit less on stats, but it's still a very, very good one. Battle Soul of Vigilance. Your front row, you just want defensive war souls on them, and the best one in my opinion is going to be the Vigilance one. So if you have those, that's what I would recommend putting on your front row. Another really good one is going to be this one right here. Now the reason this one is really good is because it obviously gives you an HP boost, and when the battle begins, the front row's reflect damage is increased by 6%. Now, this is going to give you a boost to all of your front row. So all of your front row is going to have a reflect damage rate of 6%. Now, that's really big because what reflect damage is, every time somebody attacks your front row, they will receive 6% damage depending on what damage they did to you. So if they did 10,000 damage to you, they're going to receive 600 damage to them. So this one is really good because it gives you the boost to all of your front row, and it does also last for 2 rounds. This one you just use it every time they attack you, they receive damage. This one is also a really good one. Now another good defensive one is going to be the courage right here. It increases your defense, block chance, and block strength. This is really good because block chance, basically what it does is every time they attack you, if your block activates, they're going to do way less damage to you, and it will keep you alive for a longer period of time. And War Soul of Courage, it is really, really good to link it up with Jinta right here. If you have Jinta's War Soul, or you can make it, and you also have War Soul of Courage, if you put these two together, it's going to be a really nice combination because Jinta also boosts the block chance, so you're going to have a pretty good chance of blocking the enemy's attacks every time and receiving less damage. And that's, in my opinion, what you should use for the front row. Now, going to the back row can be very different because, for example, we have Kampachi right here. His weapon is really, really good, and his rage skill is also very good because his weapon, whenever you use your rage skill, it decreases the defense by 30%, and it increases the back row crit chance by 15%, which is massive. So what you want to do for the back row, it can totally be different depending on who you are running. Now, Kampachi, everybody should have because he is free to play. Now, some really good attacking War Souls for the back is going to be, for example, War Soul of Crit, War Soul of the Eye right here, and which one is it? Battle Soul of the Fury, and there's one more. Where is it? Oh, it's equipped on him. Yeah, right here, War Soul of the Wrath. So this one is really good because it increases your attack, crit chance, and damage rate. So like we said, Kampachi increases the back row crit chance by 15%. So if you have this one, I'd recommend you give it to somebody other than Kampachi because it increases their crit chance. Say you have Soifon on your team. What you're going to want to do is use Kampachi's rage, and then Kampachi is going to increase her crit chance by 15%. And then if you have this right here on Soifon, she's going to have an extra 9%. So she's getting the 9% from the War Soul, and she's getting that 15% from Kampachi. so she has a pretty good chance to crit. So Kimpachi, unless you have an extra one, I would not recommend giving him this one. I'd give it to somebody else in the back. But if you do have an extra one, feel free to give it to Kimpachi, because Kimpachi, like I said, does 15% crit chance to your back row. So if you give your other two back row players a crit chance War Soul, it's really nice because they have a really good chance to crit. Just make sure to use Kimpachi's Rage first round. Same thing with Soul of the Crit. If you have one of those, don't give it to Kampachi, give it to somebody else in the back, and use Kampachi's Rage first, and they will have a really good chance to crit. Now, if you don't have any of those, that is totally fine. There's a bunch of other good ones, like War Soul of the Eye. So this one increases the attack by a certain number and percentage, and there's a 52% chance to ignore the target's defense. Now this one is really, really good for somebody like Byakuya, because Byakuya attacks all the enemies, so every single enemy that he hits has a 52% chance to ignore the enemy's defense, which is really good. So this one, you'd want to give it to, somebody like Byakuya or Yamamoto. If you don't have any of them, Zangetsu still works, or Kimpachi. Another really good attacking one is Battle Soul of the Fury right here. It increases your attack and race skill damage. This one is really good for somebody like Kampachi, but like I said, you can use it anybody on the back. Just make sure to give your crit chance ones, like the Wrath right here, or the where is it? The War Soul of the Crit, to somebody that's not Kampachi, unless you have an extra one for Kampachi, because Kampachi already boosts your back crit chance. So when you give a crit chance War Soul to the other two, they're going to have a very, very good chance of critting. Now, same thing goes with the purple version of the crit. It also increases the attack and crit chance. You can also use this one. And War Soul of the Eye, the purple version, it really doesn't matter. Just make sure to give your front defensive War Souls and your back damage War Souls, and make sure that crit chance ones go to the two that are not Kimpachi. Now, another War Soul I'd like to mention, it's going to be where is it? Right here, War Soul of the Shattering. If you're using Rangiko on your team, I'd highly recommend this one on her, because we all know how good Rangiko is on extreme challenges. What this one basically does, it gives her an extra 8% chance to silence the enemies. So if you have this one on Rangiku, go ahead and use it on her, because an extra 8% chance is pretty nice to silence the enemies, and Rangiku is used quite a lot for extreme challenges. And that's pretty much it. You just want your front to have defensive War Souls, like these three right here, and your back gives them crit chance War Souls, just not to Kimpachi. If you have an extra crit chance one for Kimpachi, go ahead and give it to him, but your goal is to give the crit chance ones to the two that are not Kimpachi, and then make sure to use Kimpachi's Rage skill first before the other two, so he gives them the extra 15% chance to crit, and then on top of the War Soul they'll have an even better chance to crit the enemy, so you can maximize your damage. Now that is my opinion on War Souls. Like I said, this is my opinion, so if somebody else tells you something, it is totally fine. Just go with whatever you feel like is best. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. I do hope you have a wonderful day, and please leave a comment if you have any questions. Goodbye.